All right, we have news regarding Brad Holmes speaking to the media out in Florida. Coaches, GMs are all speaking to the media, and we finally have comments from Brad Holmes when it comes to free agency. Za'Darius Smith, he commented on Jameson Williams. Today, I'm going to break down his comments on Za'Darius Smith because that's been the talk of town the last couple of weeks with free agency, letting Za'Darius Smith go and not re-signing him yet. Well, I have the background to that, why he is not a Detroit Lion at this point. So before we get into it, don't forget, subscribe, like the video, comment down below, helps push out the video and supports the fellas. But let's get into it. Brad Holmes, we have comments. And this is from Dan Miller from the Detroit Times. They posted it, but so did Crunch Time as well. But I have this, a different report, but it's more cleared right to the point. Brad Holmes is in contact with Za'Darius Smith's agent, okay, per Dan Miller. Dan Miller talked about it. There's background on this, and this is Dan Miller's actual tweet with the quote. Brad Holmes on Za'Darius Smith says they couldn't afford him based on their current situation and what's coming down the road. So we kind of known this, right? With contracts coming up, guys you have to resign. What Za'Darius Smith's contract was actually like, by the way, because this year, $11.5 million, I think, $11 million. And then the year after, when he's not on the roster, it's like a almost $6 million cap hit. So you had to cut him. They said, it says they are staying in touch with his agent. Felt like he played good snaps for them last year. Much more coming up on Fox 2 News. Okay. So the good thing to take away from this, and I think this is the point everyone should know everyone should understand, they are still in contact with his agent. Okay. I wouldn't rule out a return. He's already came out. Za'Darius has already came out and said, I want to be in Detroit. I love playing here. Now, whether it's the terms, like the length of the contract, the money, I don't know why it hasn't happened. Obviously, if the Lions are still in contact with his agent, it means they're interested in at least having him back. It's just got to be at the right price, which I do respect. I respect the fact that Brad's at least in contact with the agent. There's at least interest from Brad. So no one can say Brad wouldn't want Za'Darius Smith back, which I think, there's no reason not to, right? Last year, he had a sack every 2 games in a Lions uniform. I know the thing I get frustrated with is some Lions fans try and discredit him. Oh, he wasn't that good anyway. Za'Darius is very solid. And we haven't even gotten to see him with Hutch, right? And he's a good vet to have on the roster. He's healthy, stays healthy. He's been healthy the last 3 years, just staying healthy. He's available. He produces. He's not, one of the best pass rushers in the game, but you don't need him to be. Hutch is going to be that guy. You just want depth. And he is the perfect piece to have. Now, what the number is, I don't know. No one really knows what the number is. But Brad's more concerned about the future, having to pay guys like Kirby, down the line, Hutch, you have Brian Branch, all these guys that are due for Jameson Williams, who he did also mention how he's going to pick up that 5th-year option on Jameson Williams, which, that everyone probably assumed that was going to happen. But there's guys that Brad's going to have to pay. So, I understand it. Now, would I still prefer him back? Of course. Would Brad Holmes still prefer him back? I would assume, yes. That's why they've been in contact. Like Za'Darius, I think with Hutch and with Aleem healthy when he comes back, with DJ Reader, you have Davenport, you have a rookie or two. Obviously, that's an ideal situation. But, Brad, and he even talked about this too, which I'm going to pull up the tweet too. Jeremy Reisman actually put this out, and I want to make sure I have this so you guys get full context of what was talked about and why everything's happened the way it happened. So here, let me get this for you guys so I can pull it up here. Okay. All right. Here's the tweet from Jeremy Reisman, so you guys have more context. All right. Jeremy put this out. He talked extensively on the D-line, and I have his full thoughts later. Short story, straight up said that they couldn't afford Za'Darius Smith, which makes sense, and they believe they have a good, deep group as long as injury luck falls in their favor. Emphasize how rare of a talent Hutch is. I think the part where I'm a little iffy is deep group as long as injury luck falls in their favor. Now, I don't think they're going to have the injuries they did last year, but I think we can all assume that Davenport most likely will not be healthy. So we have to stop believing that he will be. I think that's where I think the frustration is. And even when Davenport was signed last year, I was more hopeful and I was optimistic. And I thought to myself, well, Davenport, when healthy, is actually not a bad player at all. I like the upside. But I think we have to be realistic. If a player's always hurt, you have to assume he's going to continue to be hurt. So that's the thing that still concerns me. And the reason why I think even Brad's interested in Za'Darius and why I'm interested in Za'Darius is you can't count on a guy who's just consistently hurt. If you're not available, then what's your worth anyway? If you can't play football, if you're not on the field, if you're not available, who cares? Even if his contract's really good, like the contract they re-signed him on is dirt cheap. It's risk-free. It really is. But still, you have to be prepared for injuries always. And Brad understands that as well as anybody, especially after last season. So it's going to be interesting to follow what happens with Za'Darius. And he hasn't signed anywhere else. So I think that's even more interesting. I think he has interest in returning. It just has to be at the right price. So will they match on a price? We'll see. I still have hope. Especially with Za'Darius's interest and Brad staying in contact with the agent. Maybe eventually he'll be like, you know what? I'll come back on a more friendlier offer. Who knows? Or there'll be another team that comes in and gives him exactly what he's looking for. I guess we'll have to find out. But if we do, I will be covering it here. What do you guys think of the kind of the clarification there on the Za'Darius Smith situation and the likelihood he returns? Because I wouldn't rule it out, but at this point, as the days go on, it seems more and more unlikely. So comment down below, share your thoughts on it. We'll be talking about all of Brad Holmes' comments tonight on the show, so be there. We'll break down everything he said today and more. But until then, I will talk to you all later. Hey, what's going on there? It's Jeff Iafrate. Appreciate you for finishing the video. You can check out one of the videos here suggested or show support by commenting, liking, and subscribing. And buy your merchandise, officialctsports.com.